Hello everybody and welcome to May's Crafty Crows. We've got a lovely evening for you tonight. We've got our very own Jason Conway reading before the break, and we've got the amazing Lucy English from Lyra Festival come up to Crafty Crows to give us some of her poetry, which I'm very excited about. So before we begin, we're with three Bath Spa people, different ways. Jason's doing an MA at the moment. I did a degree in an MA years ago. I won't say how many. And Lucy is a professor at Bath Spa, so it's a sort of really lovely get together. And so I'm going back in time to my first collection of poetry, and this is one that I wrote during my degree, and it's we were reading Evan Boland's Outside History, and I suddenly had a connection to her poem, and so I had to write about it. I might add that at the time I never thought I'd be a poet, and it was the only poem that was in any way I was congratulated on. So it went in the book. But anyway, here we go. It's called Inside Reality. Inside reality, a lecture drags by on a sharp sunned morning, cold and crisp. We're reading Evan Boland's poetry, the intricacies of outside history. Myths of Ireland from its past, the superstition that bringing hawthorn blossoms home to the house is unlucky. Sudden memory linking me to her, myself as a child, asking my mother to bring in armfuls of May and place it in vases around the house. She said it was unlucky, lovelier outside. I wanted to capture the white, waxy freshness, its heavy perfume. It always seemed to bloom to a new blue sky. Blackthorn blossoms bring a second winter. Hawthorn flowers bring spring and warmth, blooming sooner than the lilac, also shunned. Myths of Ireland passed from maternal grandmother through to the future, woman to woman, generation to generation. I never have brought the hawthorn blossoms home. Thank you. So without more ado, we will get on with our open mic. And first up is Brian Franco. Hi, Brian, you there?
Ooh.
You did say you wanted to be on early.
I'm sorry, I'm here. I was having a little snack, so I was off camera. So
is that all right? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm going to take a little sip of tea.
Yeah, certainly.
Wet my whistle. I've got two poems that were both part of the O'Bales, that were two different O'Bales 5-word challenges. I'm not going to say what the 5 words were on each one. The first one is my latest one. It's called The Time I Got a Couple of Facial Tats. My great Aunt Mildred lived in a modest ranch house at the opposite end of the street as my grandparents' 2-story home with both screened-in front and back porches and an attic converted into a bedroom with multiple beds and cots for visiting grandkids. I was invited for lunch. There was a note on the door. I just lost myself. There was, how come it's not staying on the screen? Hold on. For some reason, there we are. It keeps on. Okay, let's try again. No. Why is this not letting me keep it? It keeps on disappearing on me.
Would you like us to put you on in a little while and you see if you
No, I have it right here. Okay.
Oh, you got it. Good. Okay.
I'll just I'm sorry. That was
an interesting note.
I was invited for lunch. There was a note on the door to let myself in. In 1971, Columbia, Tennessee wasn't necessary. It did it again. You know what? I don't know what's going on with my computer, why it keeps on Yeah, why don't you come back and a couple of people
I'll
will
tell
see
you what, yeah, Brian, don't worry. You sort that. We'll carry on and we'll pop you in a little while when you've sorted it. Is that all right?
That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So shall we go on to Annie? Annie Ellis, are you there, Annie?
Yes, thank you.
Brilliant. Let's hear your poem. Thank you.
Well, as it's coming up to summer holidays and people wanting to go to the beach, most of you probably know Weston-super-Mare. And this really happened one day to us. It's called Painting the Town Red. Sand blows between my toes as I sit on the promenade wall. Out to sea, a blue mirror shrugs of seaweed and shells. I look to the skyline, watching sails, triangles of cotton pull at the wind, filling my senses with salt and gulls calling. A dark patch far on the horizon is growing faster as it comes. It darkens the sky, fills the beach with blood. Millions of ladybirds cover everything in sight. Sand, pier, roads, houses. When they cover people on every bare bit of skin, they bite. Like vampires, they try to find food, but our skin is too thick. Everywhere they land, they're painting the town red.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Thank you, Annie. Please unmute and give Annie a really good round of applause there. Wow, that must have been an awful experience, but you've painted such a fabulous picture from it.
It was a plague of ladybirds, and
Oh,
it was quite scary.
it must have been. It must have
Yeah,
been.
but everything was red. You
That's
just
brilliant.
can't imagine it.
No, I can't. It must be awful. Oh, that was brilliant. Thank you very much, Annie. That was lovely.
Thank you very much.
Okay, if we carry on with Sally, Sally Aspen. Are you
Okay.
there? Hello, Sally. Welcome.
Right. This is a poem which about a few years back, when I was having trouble sleeping, I found myself a walking meditation on the landing by moonlight. And so what I've written is walking meditation. In a soft swirl of misty stars, our world is turning. Here you stand. Let heart rest easy. You belong. Knowing you're as important as any other, that your next footfall is all you need to do right now. Place your foot slowly, gently into your next step. I can't give you security, but know this, the most important thing in the furthest reach of space and time, among misty stars in a clear black night, and the busiest runs of their hectic towns, the most important thing is your quiet turn of heel and toe, soft touch of foot with ground.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you, Sally. That was lovely. I'd love to read that poem. I really would. That was beautiful. If you get the chance, perhaps you could put it on the GPS site, because we'd love to see it.
Okay, thanks, I will
Perhaps
do.
even trawl it.
Right.
Thank you very much. Please, a big round of applause for Sally Aston. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Laura Greville.
Okay.
Are you there, Laura? Oh, there you are.
Yeah, right
Lovely.
here.
Welcome.
Okay, this is called Scrimshaw. Start here. Carve the house on my lowest rib, a floater, not attached to sternum or future. Then rib by rib, etch a father, a mother, and 3 kids. Show the detail. My father had a beard and a gift for story. My mother had freckles and a steady job. My sister was quiet and grew quieter. Show the grandparents who wanted to help. Shipped hulls filled with gifts, posted kisses and sighs. Show how the nuclear family sit facing away from each other, all 5. Show the war that, oh no, this is about me. Start again here at the base of my spine, a bone called the sacrum, a place for the sacred that connects me to ambulatory motion towards a point not yet known to the stars. Incise the scene. Show how the whale breached, how I leaped into his mouth, then traveled the ocean, eating marrow and gristle. How the whale beached, but I found new people who spoke new tongues with different teeth. By day, I cooked potatoes and wore a kerchief, told people I was Czech, though they knew I was touched. Late at night, hidden in the toilet, with the compassion and ink of blueberry schnapps, I pushed the pain down into my left tibia, where I scratched the mutiny, the seasons, the sea battle, in the indigo war that never happened.
Gosh, Laura, that was fabulous. I
Oh,
mean, the use of anatomical, your body parts and how you were feeling and the beached whale. And oh, again, another poem I would love to read. Brilliant. Please unmute and give Laura a really brilliant round of applause for that. Thank you so much. Please, everybody, read your chat at the bottom because people are putting lovely comments about your poems and it's important that you read them. Fabulous. Thank you. How are you doing there, Brian? Brian? Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Yep. How are you
Okay.
doing? Are you ready?
I'm ready, yes. So,
Good. Okay.
so the first again is called The Time I Got a Couple of Facial Tats. My great aunt Mildred lived in a modest ranch house at the opposite end of the street as my grandparents' 2-story home with both screened-in and front and back porches, and an attic converted into a bedroom with multiple beds and cots for visiting grandkids. I was invited for lunch. There was a note on the door to let myself in. In 1971 Columbia, Tennessee, it wasn't necessary to lock your door for safety's sake. And her sweet Southern old lady wrinkly voice, oh, I'm sorry. She screamed in her sweet Southern old lady wrinkly voice, "I'm in the kitchen, honey." She was chopping celery for egg salad, which would be on toasted Wonder Bread with lettuce and sliced in triangle halves. She gave her wiry 10-year-old great nephew a big hug. She stepped back, lightly held up my chin, and kissed my cheek, leaving a temporary tattoo of maroon lipstick that felt like it was made of frosting from the carrot cake staring at me from the counter under a glass top pedestal. She handed me a bowl with her famous marinated cucumber, onion, and dill salad, peppered with a generous sprinkling of black pepper. "Go on and set this on the table. I'll be out with the sandwiches in a jiffy." The fancy antique dining table was set for 3. She always kept a place setting on the table for Uncle Malin, who had died before I was born. There were 2 tall glasses of home brewed sun tea and a glass pitcher filled with tea. I sat down and waited, then let out a loud, high-pitched sneeze that might have been capable of breaking glass. I grasped the lace tablecloth, which caused one setting of Aunt Mildred's wedding china to crash to the ground and sent the cucumber salad fleeing like a frisbee to splatter on her French Revival couch with a plastic cover that never caused my thighs to sweat because she ran her AC so cold. I burst into tears. She ran out to comfort me and assess the situation. "Oh, baby, that's why I covered that couch." I pointed to the broken dishes and cried like a banshee. She wiped my tears with a cloth napkin and said, I have coleslaw in the fridge and none of sun tea spilled. She grabbed a whisk broom and dustpan for the broken dishes and wiped off the sofa. Brought in the slaw and sandwiches and said, I know carrot cake is your favorite. After my second slice of carrot cake, which was accompanied by chocolate milk from a glass bottle, she smiled and whispered, let's let this mess be our little secret. She never mentioned it again. When I got back to my grandparents' house, both my cheeks had lipstick tattoos, which my grandmother cleaned with a wet washcloth as she giggled, your Aunt Mildred sure is something else. And this next piece is called Why It Rarely Rains on the Jersey Shore. Whilst ambling barefoot through a meadow of soft, silky grass, my tender feet encountered a patch of downy wild zoysia laced with sharp-edged pebbles. These insurgent bits of geological shrapnel ambushed my soles with pain, dancing through my tootsies, making them feel as brittle as boiled sugar candy glass atop a creme brulee. I shrieked into the morning air, a yell that echoed against the sun who yelled back at me, yo, shut up! I'm trying to fucking meditate over here. I have consequently solved the eternal mystery of the origin of the sun. She was born in New Jersey. Thank you, everyone. And
thank you so much, Brian. That was fabulous.
I'm gonna put
I'm really quite hungry now.
Oh.
All the talk about food has made me feel really hungry, but those little elements of your youth, it's fabulous, really lovely. Thank you very much. A big
I'm
hand
going to
for Brian.
I'm putting info in the chat on some features I have coming up, which are probably too late for most British people, but I'm also going to how you can buy my book as well. So thank you very much.
Please do. Please do. A big hand for Brian Franco. Thank you. Lovely to have you back. Okay, let's go on to Vicky Hampton. Vicky? Have I lost you? Where are you?
No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, there you are. Hello, Vicky. These squares keep moving around. It's really confusing. Hi, welcome.
I've got one which is pretty much for Jason's sake, really, because I know that he likes the nature poems, and I thought, as he's going to be starring, that I'd do something in his honour. And this is called Two Whales Don't Predict Much. We have given up tallying time by light, float here, not swimming so much as drifting. The earth's clocked phases, her tendencies with sunbright foam and moonlit filtrations, all given way to distance. How far between a moan of whale song and reaching it? We swim alone, aware of the other, somewhere in emptiness, of their fathomless journey, of their own heart's echolocation. Surface, sigh the ocean's weight to an unlistening sky, and dream. Last night the big ships came again, hauling us high by the tail, one by one and by the thousand onto their decks, turning green sea red, and in every direction, blood and pulp, sharks. Then breach, oh breathe, breathe, and fall back to the tide's dull pulse, the fading bioluminescence that says we will not see our 100 years.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you, Vicky. Please, a big hand for Vicky Hampton. Beautiful images there.
I would just add that when I did the research for that poem, there's a series of poems I've done about whales and sea life and marine life disappearing with ecological problems. And I discovered that the blue whale has a lifespan of 80 to 100 years.
Wow.
Shows how important it is that we look after them.
Yeah, definitely. No, brilliant. Thank you, Vicky. Big hand. Thank you very much. We've really got some very, very brilliant open micers tonight. So I'm going to move on to Peter Lay.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't seem to unmute. I haven't read anything for ages, so I've sort of decided to read something tonight. I'm reading from this new collection of mine, which is called Becoming Naked, which actually won't be published until next year, but so you'll have to wait for it. And this is called, about 5 years ago, I went to Quito in Ecuador for a few days, for about a week and a half. And this is a poem that I wrote there in Quito. It's called Standing in Ecuador 1. It takes 2 days to adjust to the high altitude of Quito. 14 miles north of the city is the middle of the world, the equator, both of them. Confused? Prior to the invention of the accurate GPS in 1736, an expedition led by Charles Marie de la Condamine pinpointed the location of the equator. A 100-foot tall monument was erected, Mitad del Mundo. It's where most of the tourists from Quito come to stand astride the yellow line for the classic 1 foot in each hemisphere shot. The fact is, the line is out by 240 meters, but don't let that get in the way of that obligatory photo. Click. However, as you leave the Mitad del Mundo, turn left, go uphill and follow the signs for the Museum de Sitio Intian. Here you will find interactive displays, exhibits about Ecuadorian indigenous culture, totem poles, real shrunken heads, I'm told, and the body of an enormous dead snake. It's welcoming and lots of fun, and you can balance an egg on a nail. Watch water swirling in different directions on either side of the equator and lots more. And of course, you can stand astride a mix of brick and ochre painted line, the real equator, to take that classic 1 foot in each hemisphere obligatory photo. Click.
Thank you, Peter. That was brilliant. Please, a big hand for Peter. It's nice to have him back.
The indigenous population had always said this is where the equator was, and they built one 240 meters out in the wrong place.
Brilliant. Thank you.
GPS, it turned out it was the closest. There you go.
Amazing. Okay, let's move on. We've got Jude Marr. Jude, hello. Hello, Jude. Hi.
Hi. I'm right here. I couldn't quite decide what to read, but I think I also have a few ocean poems. So I think in Vicky's honor, I will read one of those. So this one is called Boating for Lovers at the End of the World. There's always a bit of the apocalypse in there as well. We must be inextricable, our gooseflash electric, our fine hairs hooked. We must maneuver in sync, instinct by instinct, as if our lives will end when our particles diverge. We are, so far, survivors, drenched, not drowned, our feet astride a capsized boat, toes curled. We balance ocean love with ocean fear. We hear fewer seabirds now. Our slightest breath, chest heave imperceptible to passing shoals. Intent on synchrony, we will be oblivious to chop. White caps break against archipelagos of plastic. Thunderheads like stealth planes threaten hail. Whale moan is our song, each little death distracts. Sea blind, we nip and lick, salted skin slick until crust thickens. Abandoned artifacts, used syringes, cigarette butts, six-pack rings, gather in our vessel's lazy wake until we trail ocean trash like Terra's bridal train, while miles below our boat's breastbone, another coral heart pales to gray. Our slant bodies pitch and groan, We are water, without angles of repose. We are liquid, slipping through crust cracks. Discarded matter, matted across ocean swell. And our upturned boat, an island now. Home. The flaccid condoms, dirty diapers, a final nail.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Jude. That was amazing. Really chilling, actually. You really bring home that detritus that is cluttering the oceans. Fabulous. Please unmute and give Jude Marr a great round of applause. Woo! This is amazing tonight. Okay, we're going to Gerald Gels. Welcome, Gerald.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to do a poem called Janine's Got a New Partner. And I should just say a content warning, it does, well, it has a sting in the tail. Janine's got a new partner. He plays in a Coldplay tribute band, but you can't hold that against him because Janine's got a new partner. He collects mugs and lines them up on the sideboard in size order. Janine's got a new partner. They say he does something with spreadsheets. They say he's a whiz at it. They say you can put him in a cupboard somewhere and just leave him to it and he'll come up with a spreadsheet that does exactly what you want and no one's missing, and it's a good way to make money because Janine's got a new partner. He wears cardigans and a tie. He doesn't believe in jeans or t-shirt. He brushes his teeth twice a day and never forgets even when he's got the flu because Janine's got a new partner. He drives the blue people carrier with enough room for 2 children, which he doesn't have yet, but he will have one day because Janine's got a new partner, has a mortgage on a house which was built 2 years ago and has 3 bedrooms, although one's a bit pokey, and a kitchen which is perfect and an energy performance certificate which is far above the average. You see, Janine's got a new partner, and her mother says he's a gentleman, and her father says he's a good catch, and everyone agrees she doesn't want to be a drudge all her life. And when she's had a couple of years off to have her children, she can get a better job or not work at all if she doesn't need to. Not the way the spreadsheets are going and the Coldplay tribute band, which pays for little extras like fridge magnets and light bulbs, because Janine's got a new partner. And they went on holiday to Ilfracombe, and they spent a weekend in Paris, and they avoided the Louvre because it was ever so expensive, and they didn't eat snails in case they disagreed with them, but they ordered croissants like they have every Saturday. Yes, Janine's got a new partner, and she says she's happy and spends a lot of time with members of the Coldplay band, with people already married who work away on spreadsheets and make them add up, who put noughts onto paychecks and calculators on their desks. And it's ever so exciting in an unexciting way because Janine's got a new partner, you see, and she doesn't go to the pub anymore, and she doesn't listen to the Jam anymore, and she doesn't write poetry, and she doesn't smile at the bus stop, and she doesn't offer me a sherbet, and she doesn't say she loves me. No, not seriously, you idiot, when we're sponging down a loo, because Janine's got a new partner, and I hope she's awfully happy, and I'm happy that she's happy, except she had a bruise one day, and I asked her all about it, and she said she'd got a new partner, and I told her I was glad because Janine's got a new partner. I see him in the driving seat and her sat down beside him. I want to reach and touch her, but there's tinted glass between us. I want to reach and touch her, but she'd call me a silly girl because Janine's got a new partner. And although I see her at work, I know they listen to Beethoven when I listen to Bjork. Thank you.
Oh, I love your poems, Gerald. Fabulous. It's sort of like the repetition is a bit like a song and you read it so well. Fabulous. Please unmute yourselves and give a big hand for Gerald Carroll. Well, we've got one more open mic before we get to our first reading tonight. Helen Shepherd, would you be okay to go on now?
Yeah, fine.
Brilliant. Really pleased you're here. It's lovely.
Lovely. It's May the 4th. How many Oh my God, what amazing poetry. I was still in it all. Thanks for all that. It's May the 4th, but it's also World Maternal Health Day. So I thought I'd share one of my poems with you. Fish fingers and baked beans. I remember door knocks, neighbours in labour, borrowing tenors for gas, private clear blue pregnancy tests. I remember delivering a dead baby, being cathartically sick on Merlot, waking on Anna's sofa under blankets. I remember forgetting to collect the kids from school, delayed by an emergency C-section. Tina dished out snacks and telly. I remember picnics in snow and torrents, tree climbing, mudslides, picking up our shredded threads of mothering. I remember one night the kids taking turns projectile vomiting off bunk beds and a long list of home visits next day. I remember waste, strikes, cuts in care, mountains of building, litigation, dread, fish fingers and baked beans for a week. I remember sobbing in your kitchen, resignation letter sealed and stamped. I remember to toast many mothers. Thank you.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Helen. That was lovely. Can you put in your chat your book onto now so that if anybody wants to read it, they'll know how to get it. That's brilliant. Please unmute and a big hand for Helen Shepherd. I have to say, I met Helen and Lucy last November for a retreat, an amazing retreat in, oh no, I'm going to forget the name of it now. Can you remind me?
Kinkham.
Kinkham. I had the cum. I couldn't remember the king. In Kinkham in Devon. In Devon or Dorset, is it?
Dorset.
Dorset. I always get the two muddled up. It was wonderful.
You just reminded me we're doing another one in November.
Are you?
Get the stuff together.
Ooh,
thank you.
Perhaps I ought to have another shot of the cold. Thank you so much, Helen. That was lovely. Okay, so we now get to our point of our first reader, our very own Jason Conway. Jason is a professional daydreamer based in Stroud, drawing inspiration from social issues, mental health, and transformative power of nature. His mission is to encourage people to make a positive difference in the world. He's a published poet and an award-winning freelance creative and visual artist. He's co-director of the Gloucestershire Poetry Society and founder of the indie arts magazine Steel Jackdaw. He's headlined at Gloucester Poetry Festival and Swindon's Rusty Goat Poetry Corner, and performed at the 2000 Trees and the Space in Between Festival. He's published in Poetry Undressed, Blue Nib, Poetry Blast, and several others. He's currently studying an MA in creative writing at Bath University, and he's an Arts Council funded poet commissioned for the 2022 Stoke-on-Trent Neurodiversity Festival and the Stoke City Centre BID. I'm not quite sure what that means, but there we go. Anyway, a big hand and a warm welcome for Jason Conway, everybody.
Thank you, Josephine. It's a real pleasure to be reading alongside Lucy. I can't wait for a set later, and a great open mic so far. I'm going to kick off with one of my first poems that was published in a major publication in the Blue Nib a couple of years ago, and it's about a breakup, but written from a woman's perspective, and it's called Kitchen Break. The kitchen door burst open as a raging bull grunted and stamped with discontent. He ranted white noise that fell on deaf ears as she played her favourite song on repeat in her head. She didn't want or need to understand him. Rasps, grinds and shrieks tried to pierce her bubble, but they may as well have been wet peas squashing in the sink. His breath erupted like a boiling kettle, quaking, spewing foul gases into the room. The hissing vapour transformed into butterflies in the mists of her daydream of happier times, and she sighed the last breath of summer. His fiery autumn words fell like dead leaves onto the coal-tiled floor, as he realised a lonely time lay ahead. He knew that she was free of him, as he watched her stir grains of frost into her mug. The ring of the spoon against its walls sounded the last chime of their journey together. He left the room, crumpling a snowdrift carpet in the hallway, and he picked up his clinking chained keys and walked through the front door. It slammed shut with a giant thump, like the close of a stone coffin lid in a crypt. But she didn't notice a thing. He was just a ghost of winters past, silently fading away as her lips touched warm chocolate froth, and all was good in the world. My next one is called Agitated, and it's about the frustration of being trapped inside on a rainy day. I'm sitting in an uncomfortable chair, bone hard, pressing painfully into my sunken spine. I'm agitated like twisted grass in a gale, unable to sit still for any amount of time. The view outside is drenched by rain, a cloudful, skyful of silvered fades. I curl to ease my discomfort, stop the crawl of scales travelling up my back. I see life continue outside, the snaking wind rustling through bush and tree, totems to the rain god. People are hill walking, cocooned as they wriggle along slippery fields over Slad Valley, lush in dripping colour. Why do I sit here on a chair that stings like a varnished viper, when I could embrace the cold outside? Stride across silver pavement to the squeak of damp meadow. Callous conversations spiked by my hissing shoulder sprite, or shattered by falling mirrors, claw-tapping panes. I will not listen anymore. I'll strip myself from these dust-scaled walls and seek pasture in the poor. I'll be a magpie, spying beads, glitter for a curious tongue, scavenging falling jewels, mindful treasures to trinket my memory. My wings will soak in summer's soothing rain, cheeks fluttered with vigour, lungs fanned by nature's mystic breath. No, I can't sit still for long, as clutched prey, squirming on wooden jaws when mother calls. She beckons me back to the hunt, her primal wilderness, to shed my constrictive skin and rewild. Okay, so this next one has some references to Celtic mythology. There's Cailleach, who is the divine hag, and also Melnaus, who is the sun god. And it's a love poem, and it's called Unspoken Song. When the cold of night draws in, when light becomes a rare swan on a moonlit lake, your wings heat my chilled frame. Slide smoothly like warm grass on bare shins. Afternoon escapes in the haze of summer as my thoughts drift to memory. Back to when breeze spirits combed my breathing skin, tingled my senses, made waving hairs salute the sky. When they spooned sweet floral medicine that soothed aching, unworked bones. Their silent notes sang to me, painted landscapes behind closed eyes. The musted scent of mossed carpets and mushroomed bark as scaled cones pined the giving soil below. Enchanted petals carried cushioned feet, and plumed ferns bowed to Melnaus as he rode the flaming sun across the sky. When Cailleach, the generous hag, searched for kindness in the worthy, bestowed divine gifts for good deeds. Perhaps my gift is the joy to wander through wood and meadow, stream and dust, to understand that her wilderness is enough, all that matters. She is a sage cloaked in shadow, aged in time, nurturing lessons of service and compassion. Her true beauty is not the fair maiden of thanks that by chance beguiled me, but the abundance of her ground, the light of her sky, and the wealth of wisdom in her eyes. It's dark, and you wrap me in heat beneath silken feathers. Each brings unspoken stories of love and belonging, as if you are a child of hers, teaching me each cool night that all I have is here in cornucopia. As if the time to sleep is a winter's hibernation, to dream of green fields and wild flowers. Be thankful for the will of the seasons that challenge and gift us. Keep me warm, for soon I will fall deep into dream and petrify like Cailleach, a sleeping rock, snug in soft weaved ground, and sleep until spring. I'll rest until your wings harp my hardened skin, play a waking melody, a primal spell that morphs rock to clay, clay to limb, as shining rays spark wild magic, the magic of your unspoken song. That all I need is here among the hush of morning till darkness comes. You are my wilderness, gifted by the gods, for I am bound by your good nature, and your nature is enough. Okay, so my next one is one of the poems that I've written during my MA course, and as we're all here poets, you probably will understand the words, and it's called Cage Fright. I have a fear of falling. I'm scared of heights, yet I seek a prize on a paper mountain. At the top, a cage hangs off a ledge. Inside lies a laurel crown. I step inside to write landscapes. If I dare look down, words will escape, drain me of ink. As I climb, steps are pressured. I should tread with care or I lose my grip. The rise in altitude brings risks, a gust of sentiment to throw my balance. I could trip over adjectives, race ahead and forget to pause for breath, fail to test the route and slip off an edge. Misjudge gaps of understanding, spare slack to metaphor, get rope burns. Let myself go and feel the crush of criticism. The air is thin and I hear voices. They echo, you don't belong here. Those words are familiar. The cage rattles, my pen drops. I have a fear of falling. I'm caged and exposed, but my cage is self-imposed. And so my next one is about a beautiful place off the island of Seal in Scotland called Easedale. It's called Easedale Absolution. Along an unkempt path I wandered, passing crippled bushes, arched in obedience to harsh winds, like lepers longing for a warming touch, a sun that seldom visits. Echoes of slate dwellings, long abandoned for the lust of progress, jigsaw the land with unsteady plates, and hints of heather race the sea air in search of recognition. I was a stranger, trespassing in a wild place, ravaged by spirited beasts that buffet and slash in relentless contempt of life's will. A tenacious beauty clutches here, weaving between sleeping rocks, hugging cracks and questioning fissures. It blooms towards the heavens in defiance of elementals. Long after, when chilled skin thawed and fingers searched for connection, part of me pondered why life persists at the edges, begging for the forgiveness of heat. Like the flowers of Easedale and its burdened trees, I too have stubborn roots, but who do I reach for when my island is stormed? I've got two poems left, and my second to last poem is about another place in Scotland right at the top, and it's a beautiful place called Melnaus. And this is Melnaus Sunset. The pilled, cooling land gently slopes and rises like a freshly aired linen sheet, rippled across an endless cushioned bed. Shimmering white rocks break the undulating curves of a brocaded heath, buttoned by fluffed cotton grass tufts. Sponge-like mounds of moss, lichen and heather spring inquisitive wanderers like giants hopping across islands. Stroking winds make grass roll, tidal-like, sending silvery snakes to wind towards the hem of glowing hills. Sunset draws down a violet damask drape to peach and lemon folds that snug an aubergine-pillowed landscape. Not long now, for the circling sun to rest beneath the rich, lustrous fabric of the moon's speckled sequin quilt. This ever-giving Celtic land, tucked by the brush of the North Sea, is a waking dream of the wild and will always lie with me. And my last poem is a personal one. It's dedicated to my dad, who is in end-of-life care currently. And it's called Only Fools and Horses Work, after the popular television show that my dad loves to watch. Only fools and horses work, and you had the gab all wrapped up, ready to sell to the hypnotized, but you worked so damn canine hard to keep your knitted family cushy. You've got a GCE and art when you get in a proper job. You and Mum certainly kept me grounded. Concrete boots for wandering feet until my gown and mortar cemented the punchline. This time next year, Jay, we'll be millionaires, you'd say to me. Even now, when there's no change in your meter and the cold's well and truly set in. Your chandelier character illuminated my world until you got stuck in a dodgy dealing that went conference shaped, and we crowded round your hospital bed, catching crystal tears. You used to call me Rodney in jest, but Dad, I confess, there's no Cassandra crossing to greener grass for you. No more Grandad's sea tails to keep the kids anchored. There's a burglar shadowing you from the inside. No neon paint tracks for the docs to find. Early signs undetected until a fair cop reluctantly charged a life sentence. This time next year, I won't be rich, but I'll have a million precious blinks of a gifted workhorse that fooled around, proud of my career in art. Take that, Rodney, and pucker memories that no one can rob. Thank you so much for listening.
That was fabulous, Jason. Thank you so much. Can you please all unmute and give Jason Conway a fabulous round of applause? I'm looking forward to your next book, Jason. I really am. Brilliant, brilliant. Please look at the chat. There's so many. I always have a problem with putting comments on the chat. If I'm listening, I can't do that. And yet at the same time, I want to express what we're feeling. But it's when something is good, it's very hard to get those comments all down. So please have a look and see how people found your poetry. Beautiful. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Jason.
Muted.
Sorry. I was just going to say, we're just going to have a break now for 10 minutes and we'll be back at 8:10, if that's all right. Brilliant. If you stop recording, Jason. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay, everybody, welcome back to our second half of this month's Crafty Crows. I'm going to open up with a poem in a minute, and then we're going to hear from the fabulous Lucy English. So I'm really looking forward to this. I'm hoping everybody's back. I'm seeing still a lot of closed off cameras, but we'll keep our fingers crossed that they've not disappeared for too long. Okay, having gone back to my first collection of poetry, I thought, well, maybe I'll go back to my second collection because I haven't read from that for years. So this is Unraveling that I did a few years ago, 3 years ago, was it? And I haven't read this one for probably at least 2 years, I think. But it used to be people's favourite, so here it goes. It's called Bare Feet on Bare Boards. We sit, bare feet upon bare boards, sand between the toes, and on our arms the damp tang of blown salt waves. I see tanned skin near the collar of your shirt, close to where your heart beats. I note the pulse at your throat, and I long to kiss it. I push my tangled hair from my eyes, our gaze meets, and for a second, your white teeth shine within your smile. I laugh, and the sound of my voice is whisked away by the wind. I sit, bare feet upon bare boards, and feel your closeness. I love this hour, this closing of each day, the return from warm sands and frothing waves, our brief rest upon this dusty veranda, before standing alone in my shower, dreaming of what might transpire when we meet again, clean and smartly dressed, my hair tamed, your pressed shirt, the tie upon your chest. I will sit at the white table opposite you. The wine will flow dark red like my blood. I'll nibble delicately and listen while your words tumble around me. And all I'll desire is to take the glass from between your resistant fingers and pass my lips across them. I want to take you in my arms and this time finish the day curled on the sheets of your bed, my cheek against your tousled head, lovers at last. I do sit at the white table opposite you, but the wine that is poured is greenish white. I awake from my dream feeling slightly dazed and see your eyes scanning the room. They rest momentarily on every pretty girl, but all I wish is that they would turn and focus on me, so you could see this woman who loves you passionately. Thank you. Thank you. So, on to our really highlight of the night, Lucy English. When I find the right piece of paper would help, wouldn't it? There we go. Lucy English is a spoken word poet and novelist. She has 2 poetry collections published by Burning Eye, Prayer to Imperfection in 2014 and The Book of Hours 2018. She's the creator of the acclaimed project, also called The Book of Hours, which contains the poetry from the collection made into films. I can't imagine, there's a word here I can't get, EITJ, I'm not quite sure what that means, 27 international collaborators. Films from this project have been screened over 30 short film festivals and won awards. The Book of Hours was shortlisted for the New Media Writing Prize in 2019 and is one of the digital artworks held in the British Library. She is currently working on a new collection on climate change and environmental pollution. Lucy is Professor of Creative Enterprise at Bath Spa University and co-director of Lyra Bristol Poetry Festival. So please, without more ado, please unmute yourself and give a warm welcome to Lucy English.
Yay! Thank you very much, everybody. It's absolutely wonderful to be here tonight. I've really enjoyed all the open micers and what a high quality of poetry, and so lovely to hear your poetry, Jason. I've only seen it written down. It was just lovely to hear you read it. I'm going to read from some poems from the Book of Hours, and then also some from the new collection, which is still emerging, and it hasn't I'm still a bit unsure exactly what it's going to be, but it's still in progress. As mentioned in the introduction, the Book of Hours is a book. It is also an online poetry film project. And the idea behind it was to do a reimagining of a medieval Book of Hours, which were these beautiful sort of illustrated manuscripts. And rather than having illustrated manuscripts, I had poetry film. The mood behind the Book of Hours is one of reflection, and a lot of it is based in the Welsh Marches, which is the sort of border between Herefordshire and Wales, because that's where I wrote a lot of the poems. This is how it starts. A manual of wonder. Memories crash in my head. That night when we camped in the land where great shadows of mountains rose above us and we listened to the river churn. How I sat with Rich in a room in the church filled with stained glass and paintings of angels I had returned from a week of dark. And next to me, on that memory, I was on the green hill in Radnor. The storm clouds twisted through pastel over the river. I said, I can do this. I can. Now I am silent. The light drains outside the cottage window. My head is heavy, my back hurts, my brain is frozen. I need to redraw my days, turn hours into new works of art. I begin again. I make a new mark. My brush touches canvas with blue. My pen slides across smooth paper. A crow crosses the sky. I draw this. The crow black on the page before me. I add touches of watercolour. Orange seeps into the blue. And then I write. Begin with this. Begin here. And do not stop. This is stone life. White outside and white inside. A brown sofa and a tin trunk to put my boots on. Flagstone floors, a dark, dark grey. Tartan blankets, the colour of the Marches fields. Slate green. Wood pigeon. Mole. What do you do all day? You ask me. I get up at 6 and I light the fire. Soot on my fingers, I make porridge. Over breakfast, I look at maps. Where shall I walk today? I don't care about the rain. Every time I walk, I see a new thing. Yesterday, a bullfinch. Today, a cloud settles on the far hill and wraps it. Back inside, the rain comes. It doesn't matter. I read natural planting and wild gardens. Are you happy? You ask me. I'm not sure I know, but I am still. There's a pub down the road, but I don't go there. When I walk past, I can smell real cider, such a sweet, vinegary cloud, hear high laughter. Are you happy? You ask me. I'm not sure I know, but I am still. But in my dreams, I'm still that crazy thing. I laugh, tear off my clothes, run up the stairs, you laugh, we fuck, we shout, we fuck. I wake in a snap to silence. White outside and white inside. I get up at 6 and light the fire. When I was writing the collection of Book of Hours, what came out of it was a lot of sort of environmental anxiety. I mean, I think if you spend any time in the countryside these days, you know the countryside, you notice changes, you notice things are different, you notice the weather has changed, plants have changed. This was called Weird Weather. Last April was so hot we swam in the river. On the path was a puddle black with tadpoles. Most were dead and smelt of rotting seaweed. The others squirmed into the tyre tracks. I wanted to walk to the river and see anemones and wild garlic in the grass, not a puddle with black things. Did they know that they were dying? I dreamt that the ice age was coming. Snow fields reached to the edge of the city. An avalanche was predicted. We panicked and ran from our houses. My daughter was a fish girl with pink gills like feathered seaweed. I wrapped her in cellophane and put her in my pocket, but I couldn't carry water in my pocket. My son was 4 years old and was with his father. The phones were down, so I couldn't reach them. I hoped his dad had wrapped him in an army blanket. I hoped his dad had listened to the warnings. I dreamt I saw my son in the street. He stood still in the running people. I was relieved because he was grown up. He was wearing an army coat. The young man wore a grey coat, but his face was cold with sadness. He said, "Do they know they are dying?" They're not all serious. In Book of Hours, my background is spoken word, and spoken word has a lot of storytelling, and I also love humour in poetry. It's called The Woman at the Window. How did I get to be this old? I saw myself in the shop front window, and I saw my grandma with her baggy tweed coat, her shopping bag of potatoes, and that squint she had when the sun was too bright. Inside, I am still young. I know this. My hair is fine and my skin is soft. I know this. I still jig when Dancing Queen plays over the airways, and I laugh like a drain when Tom and Jerry fight on the stairs. When we came here that April, the cherry blossom was out in Prospect Park, and the old men smiled at us. We bought fresh bagels, cream cheese, and salmon from the bakery in Vanderbilt. We ate them in the street, and the cheese ran down my chin. How you laughed at me. That night by your window, we saw the street lights come on. You said they were switched on just for us. In your room near the Bergen Street subway. I'm still young. I know this. Before, this concrete was woodland. There are no high rises here but black oak and maples. The grass grows to the edge where the grey mud meets the seawater, and the Canada geese gather for their long flight north. I'm going to read some ones now from the new collection. At the moment, the new collection is called The Dream Time. I started writing this, like many writers did, something to do during lockdown. And the whole experience of lockdown, especially that first lockdown, was so surreal with this sort of beautiful weather, and everybody really disorientated. And that's where the collection starts, with that feeling of dislocation and disorientation. It's called It Feels Like Real. feels like real. There's wild cherry blossom on Boiling Wells Lane. It feels like real countryside down there. There's a horse in a field and a rusted tin shed. A smell of straw and the mud sticks to my shoes. Footprints in the mud, not mine. 6 young men in football kits run up the lane. They run up the lane, and as we pass, we go quiet. As we pass, one nods and we distance. Was that 6 feet? Is 2 meters 6 feet? Should they even be playing football? One person, 7 people, one walk, one lane, one horse, one shed, one afternoon, 6 feet, 3, or is it 2 meters? I'll stop counting now. I was never good at numbers. I'm a teenager again. Just 13. My friends live too far away for me to meet them. No school. I'm too bored even to read. I can go out on my own to the corner shop and hope nobody will miss me when I take a detour under the railway arch and walk past the barns and the sheds in the lane. The muddy lane behind the tangled gardens, the muddy lane that leads nowhere except to a horse in a field who waits for company. And the water of Boiling Wells flows into a ditch, and the blossom is creamy white on black twigs, and there's no aeroplanes, so the sky is so blue. Still very much in that lockdown space, that first lockdown. There was something about it. It felt like being back in the 70s again, because there were no cars, and it was like everything was empty. This one's called Easter Monday. It could be Easter Monday, 1968. A woman with a pink apron sweeps her drive. Her husband in overalls washes his car with a yellow sponge. Through the open door, a smell of fried potatoes, meat pie. The children have drawn hopscotch in coloured chalks and rainbows, unicorns. Where are the children? They're inside now. Only one boy rides his new blue bike down the terraced roads of quiet cars. He's learnt not to wobble. The magnolia in the front garden shakes fragile flowers. A sharp wind, bright sun, deep shadows. Down the street, a dog barks, then another. A tabby cat darts off a wall. The man throws the last of the soapy water over his silver Vauxhall, leaves wet footprints along the concrete. The door shuts as I walk past. Easter Monday, 1968, Martin Luther King was already dead. BOAC Flight 7112 lost an engine on takeoff. In the burning wreck, stewardess Barbara Jane Harrison stayed behind to help a woman and a child. They all died. Every era has its martyrs and heroes. Here, nurses and doctors are red-eyed and burnt up. Here, pink magnolia petals melt brown into the grass. I'll do one more from the Dreamtime, and then I'm going to finish with a poem from the Book of Hours. There's a lot of dreams in the Dreamtime. I did dream a lot, actually. And I love dreams, the sort of weird things, the weird sort of images and thoughts and emotions you get in dreams. This is called I Dreamt About Silver. I dreamt about silver because the clouds were silver. Silver when I woke up just before the sun rose. I dreamt about children, old-fashioned children, children from the countryside, and they were singing, "Goodbye, we are leaving." Boys in flannel shorts and black boots, girls in pinafores. The light was grey in the early morning. "Goodbye, we are leaving." Silver is the colour of my hair, the colour it will be. "Goodbye, we are leaving." Dear children, I do not want you to go. I want you to stay and smile. Silver is the colour of money. Silver is the colour of dolphins. Silver is the colour of the rings on my hand, the one I bought in India when I was 18, my wedding ring I don't wear anymore. Goodbye, we are leaving. The moon was silver, so was the frost. Goodbye, we are leaving. The slice of the moon over Sugarloaf Mountain, the children in my dream are still singing. Goodbye, we are leaving. I'm going to finish with a poem from the Book of Hours. As I said, I come from a spoken word performance background, and this one is a sort of performance poem. It's set at night in the dark. So what I'd like you to do is just listen to it and just close your eyes if possible, because it's about being in the countryside in the dark, which is something we experienced when we were on the Kinkham retreat. When that moon goes behind the clouds, you can't see your hand. It's called Night Walk. It's half a mile from the pub to my B&B. One turn off the road and into the lane, then the pub lights fade and I can't see my feet. I forgot how dark it gets when there are no street lights and no moon and low clouds and no torch, and I didn't bring my phone. This is a dark sky area. They're proud of that round here. This is dark. There are no stars. I could go back, bleat for a lift or light, but I don't want to look like a stupid townie, so I step out, my hands in front of me. Perhaps I can see shapes. Yes, I can see the line of the hedge against the black. Stop. Remember something about how long it takes for eyes to adjust. Close my eyes. Count to 20, 30, 40, 60. My other senses jolt. I can smell the hedge. Greeny wet on the grass, fresh, sweet, a small rustle, a field mouse, a shrew. I open my eyes, but it's not sight I have now, it's radar. I can feel when I pass a gap in the hedge. The air is cooler between fingers. Then a car roars down the lane, but it's not a car. It's a huge tree, a loud tree above me, walking fast now and not scared. No, my pints of cider zapped. I reach out hands and breathe right in. Different smells, mud, slush, rot, wet, sludge, a ditch and a drain, and more roars as the wind up the lane, and the trees are shh, heart pumps, boots clomp, waterproofs crackle, stinks of plastic and cider fumes. I terrify rabbits and voles. Even a fox will not cross me. In the field, the sheep have heard me, meh, meh. In a far field, a dog roofs, and again, there's a pool of light from the windows. I walk faster, but don't want to go there. I want to stay a monster in this night world. Then something flaps past me, big. I almost scream, but don't in awe. A barn owl, hunting ghost, eerie white and feather silent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lucy. That was absolutely mind-blowing. The combination of all your observation and your fabulous talent for performance. Wow, it's just wow. Could everybody please unmute and give an enormous applause for Lucy English.
Wow.
Brilliant. Jason, could you unpin now, please?
Wonderful.
That is amazing. Please, Lucy, look at the chat. Lots and lots of people putting wonderful comments in. I personally, again, was so mesmerized, couldn't put much in at all. Wonderful. And please, could you put how we could get your book of hours, because I'm fascinated.
I would do a link to that.
Yeah, could you? That would be wonderful, because that is something I definitely want. Please, once more, an enormous applause for Lucy. Whew. Whew. I'm sort of hesitant to sort of make anybody follow that. Because it's going to be quite difficult. So I'm actually going to choose Agatha Palmer, who has known Lucy for very many years and who is a brilliant poet herself. So please, a big warm welcome for Agatha.
Thank you. Thank you. And not thank you for how can I possibly follow Lucy? I think that the right following would be with going into this feather silence together with Lucy Dreamy World. So I shall have to pull you into my little world for a moment and borrow you, please. Such a privilege to be here amongst so many wonderful poets. Part of me still being the monster in the darkness. Thank you for that, Lucy. It's just, yeah. So I've got 3 little poems that fit into 2 minutes of your time. And the first one is published in my first book, From the Land of Marmite with Love. I was, you know, when you first come to England, Marmite is an experience you never forget. And the second and third poems are not published yet. So if you're able, Jason, not to record that, that would be great, please. So there's a theme to these poems. The first one is called Decluttering. The second one, Upcycling. The third one, Revealing. Decluttering. And forgive my dog snoring in the background. That's what she does the best. Decluttering. I had this bitter, sweet moment with mountains of shredded paper of all things. An immense critical mass of monochrome processed tree cellulite of previous professions, past diaries, events, outdated love letters. There it was, tangible and so last century, a stack taller than me, a tower of paper certainty that there is now more past than future in my life. Mm-hmm. Thank you. If you're able to pause recording. Those of us. Thank you very much.
They were lovely. Please, a big hand for Agatha.
Thank you.
Right. If I can go on for Ivor Daniel. Hi, welcome.
Hi. Thanks, Josephine. Thanks, everyone. Brilliant poems this evening. Really great. So this is a nihilistic view of bank holidays, and it's called Coronavirus Day 2095. Today is VE Day in 2020 vision. We are a nation blessed with charity, not clarity. though we do have television. Things are easier with hindsight, of course. We have our current corona crisis, but let us remember the previously fallen. From the then fields of poppies to the now fields, sunflower seeds in young men's pockets, dark contemporary fields of lost truth, ignoble greed, sad gravitas. Hastings, Trafalgar, Dunkirk, Falklands, Rwanda, Iraq, Ukraine, to name but a few. If you're still alive, you lost someone you know. And if you didn't lose anyone yet, how that recurring cenotaph ceremony unpeels your living memory. My migraine emotions remind me that maybe, just maybe, unnecessary death is unnecessary. While Bunch's bunting makes me itch for sedition, you can't beat history and its repeated repetition. While I wait for the minute's silence, hoping I don't miss it again this year by irreverence, incompetence or incontinence, I wonder, will there be a COVID day in 75 years' time, commemorating the vulnerable, untold, countless carers, nurses, doctors, elderly people, less elderly people, young people, children, even babies, loved ones all dead. Knowing numbers sent over the hospital trench ward top, into the barbed wire shift, down dark, dank rat tunnels, not POW, but PPE, distributed inadequately, of the firebombed cities, or the torpedo hole tomb of a claustro-flooding phobic submarine, or the malaria forest virtual civilized hell of coronavirus, COVID, 19. Let's do an online shop for soap, Imodium, perhaps a game of pandemonium. Hang on, how long have I been out of it? Did you say someone ate a bat and now Boris Johnson is PM? Please, run that by me again. And still, that soothing birdsong. There's something in the miasma. Still no one has the answer. Get a life. Try cheese rolling. Watch reality TV live. Please dumb us all down. De-educate your electorate. Fly missiles at maternity wings. Don't annul your soul, soldier. Go take a pee on the KGB. Meanwhile, back in the future, how will we have evolved in 75 more years? Out of our selfish silos, our locked down wells of greed, obscene wealth or homelessness, daily embarrassment by government, non-sharing, let's bleed the planet dry, auto-cue and auto-lie, unequal, uncaring, opportunities misspent, and quite possibly, Armageddon bent again. Lest we regret. 2095, 2020 or 2022. With hypocritical tunnel vision, we're still watching television. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Diver. That was very, very pertinent. I thought myself at the last Cenotaph Day that there should have been some referral, some mention of all those who had lost people. It's as if they're trying to wipe the memory of that away. And I've actually signed a petition to keep the wall in London with all the signatures, because it seems to me that's the only monument that we have at the moment. And I feel there should be a monument, and it should be remembered. And all those people who did such sterling work, and not the politicians. Thank you, Ivor. Big hand for Ivor Daniels, please.
Thank you.
That's my soapbox put away, I promise. Okay, and straight on to Kate Jenkinson, please. Welcome.
Hello. Hi. I notice a few familiar faces here, and I'm just really enjoying listening to everybody's work, so thank you. I I was going to do a couple of poems I did recently, and then I heard the ocean theme when I joined, and I thought, oh, I've got some ocean poetry. So this first one is called Deep Ocean Interlude. I wear my ill-fitting human nature as best I can, until another wounded soul cries out for healing. Then wisdom from a timeless age uses myth and metaphor to metamorphose real courage. I shed my artificial human skin, revealing my sulky self within. I who swims constantly against the tide and voices the words of those unspoken. Though living with the pain of introversion, I am empowered to help those reeling from the harsh realities of extroversion. Join me in the secret, dark and ocean-rich divide where, as selkie spirits, we flow side by side. Now sheltered beneath the crushing storms of human noise and conditioned norms, only sensory deprivation transforms our different energies. Be barnacle tight in your resolve to nourish your reflective soul with the fertile silence of pressing fathoms. And whenever you feel displaced, return to this ancient space. Because this deep sea crevice is my home. This is where I go for peace, and everything that grows starts in the dark. My blackboard mind needed to hear these words to drown out the chalked experiences screeching their groundhog reality on repeat. Repeat. I need to know darkness is not the end. It incubates a new beginning. I will emerge when nourished, knowing that the most fertile soil is the blackest, helps, and my lack of vision heralds the clapperboard as I start a new verse in the poem of my submerged life. I am not bogged down anymore by responsibility. This deep sea crevice is my home. From here on in, I grow. And then a small one about how to become an ocean. First, undress. No ocean wears clothes to impress. Next, lie down. An ocean hugs the earth, enveloping the ground. Now sing, undulating rhythms that resonate with water, a call to all life. Now be one with the moon, the pull of the universe. Finally, forget time, lose yourself in constant flow. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. That was brilliant. And you have a lovely backdrop of water, the ocean, which really fitted with your poems. Brilliant. Thank you. Unmute and a big hand for Kate Jenkinson. Lovely. And next up we have Martin Reiser. Reiser, sorry, apologies. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm going to do a couple of short poems on the subject of war. The first one is from a series called Unreliable Histories, and it's about Samuel Colt, who mechanized the making of arms. That is called The Peacemaker. I longed for perfection, the assembling of mortality in 6 revolving chambers, the snouted heft of metal, a mechanism of precision, a jeweled beetle whirring death, the lovely simplicity of machine making machine. In wars, I was sole victor, supplying both sides impudently, yet through prudence and accounting, amassed a fabulous wealth. My gift to nations is creative destruction, icy steel cradled or sonorous across the borders and the centuries. that the law be met or broken, that boys retain or lose their lives, and mothers fathom vast new days of grief. And the second poem is about Ukraine. It's in Bucha. The building has a gap in its heart through which blue sky is framed. An old woman with a stick plays her part, standing where the guns were aimed. The burnt out flats, truncated trees are aproned round with screes of rubble. Heaving a sack of goods, surprisingly at ease, she's prepared to weather any trouble. Is this courage or tenacity of faith that no more shells will fall? Is her refusal to leave and migrate because she's seen it all? No one in the flats or on the street. A stray dog stiffens at the smell of meat.
Gosh, that was powerful last line. Thank you. Could everybody unmute and give Martin Reiser a brilliant round of applause there? That was fabulous. I just realised that I forgot to do a couple of announcements. So I'm going to do that for the last couple of open mic. First of all, Jason's been kindly putting up in the chat about our friendship membership. If anybody is interested in supporting the GPS for around about, I think it's £18 a year, is it now, Jason? You get three free entries into our competition, which will be coming up on the 1st of January, poetry competition. Sure. You get a free copy of our anthology, The Trawler, and other perks, even a free consultation with me to do if you want some help with a poem. So it is really worth, it's a very good value. And if you can't think that way, then any little donation would be helpful to keep Crafty Crows going. That's brilliant, thank you. And the other bit of the announcement was that our poetry competition will be starting on the 1st of June and going through to the end of August. And this year, I would like to say we've got a fabulous judge in Tom Sastry, which I'm really excited about. And our next features on Wednesday, the 1st of June, is going to be Tom Sastry with his new book, and also Angela France with Terminarchy. So that's going to be some amazing event too. So that's just my announcements. I do apologize, I should have done that after the break. So back to our open mic, and the next one up is Leslie Constable. Please give a warm welcome to Leslie.
Hello everyone. I've got two short poems and they're new. The first one is called Floodplains. A bag full of water sits in a bowl waiting to be emptied. It is the choice of the one who sees whether to leave the bag where it is full, a testament to hope, or spill out the contents. It is yet unknown the choice, reductive no more. It is time to expand, either tightening the hold of liquids, either tighten the hold on logic as it exerts its pressure upon us, or release the sluice gates. Reductive no more, it is time to expand. It is a testament to release, to open the sluice gates. It cannot be the sheer force of my will that holds the water, that I hold the water level steady as it should be, hold steady through waterways of thought, hold steady the channels of thought by force, turbulent now. Open the waterways of thought and it travels, flowing steady as thought rises, falls, and moving in passage. Floodplains of the lowland, now saturated, we are not yet underwater, each to our own devices to open the sluice gates or keep them closed. The control how water moves is surely not ours. There was only one thing left, to at least be fluid, and as water flows, learn the lessons which lives in, which evades us, to know water, and only that we are water, as water, of water, from water. We drink water, bathing in water. We will forgive each other that we did not know what we now know, the knowing of forgiveness. And my second poem is called Edge. It comes to this, the end of something, and if you're lucky, the beginning of another, this wide ocean of it, all the possibilities or nothing, and you pause. If you have any sense, you either lock yourself in a room, pull the covers over your head, and in the tent made there, the now cloistered space, which allows just enough room to breathe, you sob or walk. And why? Because we do not know how it will go. We sob for our innocence, realizing it is there, the fluttering, frightened bird, unsettled by the too much that finds its way to us and takes nest in our messy existence, believing the boundaries will hold. The knowledge we hope is there, shelter when needed. We are soft when we might be soft or not. It's just that we know the wind will blow and scatter our protected self to the wind, or at the juncture of realization, unthawing to re-enter our existence and fully, freely being in body and take form again. We walk the well-trodden path, or wild as we are, the other path that leads us there to the sea. And at the edge, we look. That's it for me.
Brilliant, thank you, Leslie. Brilliant. What a whole evening full of watery themes. It's amazing. Thank you so much. Please unmute and a big hand for Leslie Constable. Okay, and now for something else. We always leave Clive to the end because we never know what Clive's going to do next. So please, a big hand for Clive Osman.
Are you saying I'm a bit of a loose cannon?
Yes.
Fair enough. Okay. Really, there's only one thing I could do tonight, being as it's the local elections tomorrow. Yeah, I'm talking about politics. So anybody that doesn't know me, I think most of you do, but there may be some choice words in the next 3 minutes or so. This is the first time ever, as far as I can ever remember, that an election has come up and I've had nobody to vote for. I mean, I know this is the local elections and it's nothing to do with Parliament, but let's face it, making Starmer the Labour leader was a bit like making Hannibal the Cannibal the chair of the World Vegan Society. You know, it's just not great. So I decided it was time we had a new political party, and a real party of the people rather than a sort of lightweight Tory former socialist party. So this is a party election broadcast by the Turquoise Party. Good evening. The Turquoise Party is the new party set to break the mould of British politics. Why vote for us? Well, unless you're very rich, none of the other boring fuckers have done anything for you recently, have they? Let's face it, the Tories suck cock. Labour are Tories and the Lib Dems are in danger of being sucked because they are a bunch of cocks. Wishy-washy wannabes who couldn't organise a fry-up in a greasy spoon but have snazzy beards and sandals. Greens, fuck off. They'll never win a majority. We in the Turquoise Party say it in plain language that the common person can relate to. That is, the country's fucked and those arseholes fucked it, plan to fuck it, or are metaphorical 40-year-old virgins who'll never get a sniff of fucking it. So what's different about us? Do we have the policies to snuff out the parasitic twats who are bankrupt of ideas? You bet your sweaty bollocks we do. We're on your side. Our radical manifesto will make a difference to the working poor, to the environment and to wildlife. We won't fuck around. We will keep our pledges. And these pledges include free high-vis jackets for all hedgehogs, Improvements to our road network to include the ending of the barbaric use of cat's eyes in favour of a more ethical alternative in radioactive radishes. Making free Esperanto lessons available to all animals in order to encourage more harmonious relations between species. The setting up of events in which foxes are invited to hunt Jacob Rees-Mogg and do their thing when they catch him. But we're not all about animals. We are the party of the people. We propose an increase of £1 to the state pension every time Boris Johnson tells a lie. We will give all disabled people a free Tesla with any modifications paid for by Elon Musk. This will give the old scrote something to moan about on his ridiculous £44 billion fucking toy. Excuse me. Starbucks coffee will be available free on prescription to low-income families until the company pays its fucking taxes. Similarly, Vodafone will be forced to offer free contracts to the unemployed and to minimum wage earners. The monarchy will be abolished and all the palaces given to crazy cat ladies, once the cats have learned to speak Esperanto, obviously. We will clamp down on the use of Class A drugs by searching Tories before granting them entry to the Houses of Parliament. And most crucially, we will make it illegal to be Piers Morgan. So vote for change, vote for the good of the people, vote turquoise. I thank you.
Woohoo! I vote turquoise. I have these jackets for the hedgehogs. Brilliant.
It's a great idea, isn't it? I think that's probably the most sensible poem I've ever written.
Brilliant. Thank you, Clive. Thanks for ending Crafty Crows on a fabulously funny note. That was fun. Well, serious and funny.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody, it's been a wonderful night. I'd like you just to unmute now and show your appreciation for Jason Conway and his brilliant poems. And for Lucy English and her fabulous set.
Wow.
And all the open mic poets, and they've been brilliant this evening. Absolutely wonderful. So please give yourselves a massive round of applause. And thank you for coming to Crafty Crows, and I hope we'll see you next month at the 1st of June. Gosh, it's going to be quite soon. Okay, everybody. Thank you. Good night.